Greetings once again, all you super warriors out there. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with Dragon Ball Super. Now, previously, we are still in the adaptation of Dragon Ball Super Superhero. We've seen Broly, along with Goku and Vegeta, training on Beerus' planet, where he's brought Chilai and Lemmo along, where Beerus has taken to them shockingly well. Piccolo's investigation of the Red Ribbon Army and the android sent to take him out has continued, with him having Dende upgrade the Eternal Dragon Shenron, and Piccolo making a wish to get a boost in power, with Shenron unlocking his latent ability, along with a little bit of extra. As he returns to the Red Ribbon Army incognito, he ends up on a mission to kidnap Gohan's daughter Pan to lure the others out. Now, while Piccolo could stop this, he decides to go along with it, hoping it may be just what it takes to get Gohan to actually start being a little bit more active. Will this plan work? Oh, if you've seen the movie, you already know, but what deviations will we see, if at all any? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Dragon Ball Super. I keep wanting to say Super Dragon Ball Superheroes. Dragon Ball Super Chapter 94, almost at 100. Get your head in the game, son Gohan. You gotta get your head in the game. Gotta get your head in the game. We pick up outside of Pan's kindergarten, where it's the end of the day. The parents are coming to pick up their kids, with Pan being the only one left. Come on, guys. Then again, you get busy and you lose track of time. So many people will cry out negligence, but at the same time, we live in a society where having two working parents is a must. That's why they employ Piccolo so much to look after Pan. We have one parent saying, "I'm sorry I'm late, honey," where the disguised Piccolo and Soldier, 15 is it? Sneak up to the wall of the kindergarten and peek over. I love this woman passing by looking at them, questioning. It's like, you know she's gonna call the police as soon as she's out of view. The teacher Janet, and I'm still gonna call her that even though she wasn't called that in the Japanese version. Chris Sabat's ad-lib was the best thing ever. Janet waves to the children and says bye-bye, while Pan looks around and then looks down dejected. Number 15 whispers to Piccolo, "Is that her? Son Gohan's kid?" Piccolo says yes. We also see that they parked the Red Ribbon jet literally right in the street, blocking traffic, and a crowd has gathered looking at it. Someone going, "An aircraft in the street? Why?" Well, number 15 tells Piccolo, "Great, the other kiddies already went home." Number 15 cracks his knuckles, saying, "Well, there's no mom in sight, so let's get this over with. Snatching the kid should be a piece of cake." Piccolo questions, huh? Meanwhile, with Pan, Janet tells her, "I'm sure your mommy will be here soon." Pan says yeah, and then suddenly number 15 comes stomping in saying, "Hey Pan, sorry I'm late." At first, Pan looks up with surprise and joy, but it immediately turns to skepticism. I love the face on her, where it's just like, sus. 15 says, "Your ma asked me, your favorite uncle, to pick you up. Ready to head home, kiddo? So say bye-bye to the teacher and..." But as 15 goes to reach for her, Pan just quickly just disappears from his grasp and just nails him right in the stomach, straight to the solar plexus. Immediately downing number 15, Piccolo peeks over and thinks to himself, whoops. Yeah, it's just like, you shouldn't have let that man go by himself. And Janet looks on in shock going, "Oh my, what's the matter?" Pan points to 15 saying, "I don't know him. He's a stranger. Stranger danger." Pan was taught right. Piccolo then comes running up, and as Pan immediately strikes a battle stance, what a little badass, Piccolo stops, but then Pan in an instant goes, "Huh? Is that you, Piccolo?" Piccolo is taken aback and then says, "Ha, good eye, Pan." And Pan tells him, "I mean, I'd know your key anywhere." Piccolo goes, "Good girl. Yeah, you taught her right." As Janet puts Pan's hat back on, she goes, "Ah, this poor man must be a friend of yours, Piccolo." Piccolo says, "Yeah, sorry for this disturbance. This is a training exercise." As he picks up 15, he tells Janet, "Anything for the granddaughter of the absurdly wealthy Hercule." That's actually a great, plausible way of getting around this. It's just like, yeah, it's just a Hercule thing. You know, rich people. Like, oh, yeah, Oh, yeah, rich people weirdos. Gotcha. Janet says, oh, is that all? Wonderful to hear. God. I know it sounds silly, but literally, if you lived in this world with the shenanigans that go on, having it be explained with rich people, money, special effects, training exercises, it's just like, okay, whatever. As Piccolo carrying 15 takes Pan over to the airship, you see an officer about to give it a ticket. I don't actually remember that from the movie. This officer's about to ticket the friggin' ship, of course. And as he turns to Piccolo, he says, excuse me, sir, would this be your aircraft? Piccolo says, yeah, it is. And Pam tells him, you know you can't, I think I see a typo. You know you can't that park there. I think they meant, you know you can't park that there. But upon seeing Pan, the officer goes, you're picking up Hercule's granddaughter. Never mind me, carry on. Again, rich people getting a pass. Pan says, sorry mister, we'll take off in a minute. The officer bows, telling him safe travels. God. But, hey, celebrities and heroes and all that. As they enter the ship, Pan whispers, psst, whose ship is this? And Piccolo tells her, the Red Ribbon Army's, a bunch of bad guys. Pan questions, what's going on? Understandable. And as Piccolo sets down 15, he tells her, we'll talk once we're in the air. He then pulls out some handcuffs, and tells Pan, I need you to wear these cuffs for now, but we both know you can break out of them at any point. Pan gives him a thumbs up saying, no problemo. And as they take off, it's a little unsteady. You see Janet waving to him, and as Pan tries to keep steady, she says, hey, do you know what you're doing? And Piccolo struggles with the controls. He then hits the acceleration and punches straight through a Clean God 2 poster. Again, did we see that in the movie? I don't think we saw when they took off. God, Trunks and Goten would be heartbroken to see that happen. And I love the face of Janet and the police officer. Janet goes, goodness, and the police officer is just dumbstruck as they wobble through the air. Pan tells Piccolo, you suck at flying this thing. Piccolo says, yeah, it's not exactly my forte. So it's like, look, I barely have my driver's license and I never use the thing, let alone my pilot's license. That's the next on the list. Piloting school with Piccolo. Pan then asks Piccolo, so, you want to fill me in? Piccolo says, right, well, you see... Props to you if you get that reference, but it's just he yada yada's over basically everything. And then we cut to, and so I infiltrated as one of them to check things out. Pan says that explains the costume. God, Pan feels so smart here. Piccolo tells her, first thing on the agenda is kidnapping you. They want to lure out your dad so they can take him out. Pan says, ooh, this sounds fun. For Pan, it's payback for all the times he was late coming to pick her up. But Piccolo tells her, don't make light of this. These guys are really bad. Oh, man. Pan gets a little huffy, while Piccolo says, you've got to pretend to be scared now that you're abducted. But he then gives her a smile saying, but I'm watching out for you, so don't worry. It's adorable, but it's also child endangerment, but at the same time, it's Piccolo. Pan tells Piccolo, Daddy's been so busy, though. I don't know if he'll come for me. Oof. The fact that she'd say that, that's actually kind of heartbreaking. Gohan, spend time with your child! God, like father like son, huh? And Piccolo gets immediately mad, saying, of course he will, because if he doesn't, I'll beat him within an inch of his life. Gohan on cue sneezes. Sneezes his glasses clear off, almost dropping his coffee, and then he just looks around like, that was weird. Someone talking about me? 15 on the ship then starts stirring, rubbing his head, going, ow. But as he gets up, he sees Pan putting on her act, pretending to be restrained, going, let me go, I'm so scared. And the Oscar goes too. Piccolo then peeks back at him from the control, saying, you awake? 15 says, you pulled it off? Piccolo goes, yeah. And 15 then tells him, keep your mouth shut about what went down, okay? Piccolo questions, huh? Well, 15 tells him, about how I got my butt handed to me by an ankle biter. Piccolo says, sure thing, while Pan just giggles. She's having fun. They then return to the Red Ribbon base. Pan is plopped down on a big old poofy chair, with 15 taking pictures, which immediately, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, anything that's said out of context feels weird. And Carmine's just in the background looking with like a glass of champagne, which again, very weird. Pan then peeks over at a doll. Piccolo gives a nod, and Pan puts on the act, holding the doll, going, I'm scared, Daddy. Help me. God. This 15 taking friggin' video recording of that. Piccolo gives her a thumbs up. It's so weird. Oh man, it didn't dawn on me how weird it is, because in the movie you don't linger on this moment too much, but just going through it in manga form, it's just like, yeah, this is weird. It is really weird. It is very questionable. 15 finishers recording saying perfect. Got that recorded. Carmine tells him, very good. He then combs his coif and says, now go show that to son Gohan and escort him here. 15 says, you got it, sir. Then Pan hops down and goes over to the table with some milk and cookies on it, sponsored by Oreo. Carmine, being a jerk, immediately picks up the cookies and says, no cookies for you. You're not here for fun. Pan gets huffy, and Carmine, doubly being a jerk, immediately eats the cookies right in front of her. Number 3 then says to Piccolo, hey, number 94. Piccolo says yes. Number 3 says, you'd go join the party of the mission too, given how familiar you are with the area. Piccolo gives a salute saying, roger that, sir, while Pan sticks her tongue out at Carmine as he walks off. I mean, of course he'd be put on the next mission. He succeeded with this one. They then fly over to Gohan's place, and 15 goes over and rings the doorbell. Piccolo then waves at him over at a nearby window saying, no point to that, over here. They're at the window right behind Gohan. He's just typing away, none the wiser. Piccolo does his on the glass, scaring Gohan and getting his attention. And 15 looks to Piccolo and says, you really do know the score, huh? Gohan opens the window and says, what, can I help you? 15 says, you son Gohan? Gohan says, yes, I am. 15's like, what's with the goofy getup? I actually love this moment in the movie. Gohan looks at himself and is just like, oh, you mean this? Long story. Oh shoot, I'm just realizing. This was all in the same day, wasn't it? When Piccolo got the call to go pick up Pan and everything. Okay, alright, yeah, that does make sense. For some reason, I started thinking it was the next day, but it's like, no, this was all the same day. Gohan looks at himself saying, oh, you mean this? Long story. Piccolo then realizes and thinks to himself, he hasn't realized who I am. What's wrong with him? Even Pan recognized me instantly. Yeah, that's a big issue with Gohan not training. He just doesn't sense things like he should. Number 15 pulls a gun on him and says, unless you want to die, you're gonna take a trip with us. And Gohan just dismisses, saying, look, I'm a little busy. And he goes to close the windows. And number 15 says, as he forces the window open, you got eyes, don't you? There's a gun in your face. And Gohan just flicks it out of his hands. Like, what gun? I don't see no gun. Number 15 is completely in disbelief, like, wait, what? And then he notices the gun clacking on the ground behind him. Gohan then says, could you please leave? I'm about to call the cops. Like, you're trespassing, buddy. I'm trying to be as nice as I can. And then 15 then does the stupid thing and pulls out the phone showing Pan in peril, saying, take a look at this. With Pan hamming it up, saying, I'm scared, Daddy, help me. Gohan screams out for Pan, and 15 smiles a shit-eating grin, saying, get the picture? We've got your little girl. He then turns to get his gun, saying, you wouldn't want anything awful to happen to her, yeah? So pipe down and follow us. With him not noticing Gohan getting angry behind him, crushing the window seal in rage, and Piccolo being shocked by this. And as 15 reaches down to get his gun, Gohan appears over it, stomping on it, crushing it, much to 15's shock, and then he powers up with a scream, going into Super Saiyan, knocking 15 back, causing a massive crater to form outside of his house. Ugh, good stuff. I mean, it's about the same a degree of power, I'd say, when he first went Super Saiyan at the very least. And even still, and as 15 is knocked back, Gohan screams, "What did you do to my Pan?" Oof. So it's the same situation as when Raditz kidnapped Gohan. You might be a little negligent in some places, but at the end of the day, that's my kid. You don't touch my kid. And as 15 is shocked, he immediately is just like, nothing, she's fine. Nobody touched the hair on her head yet. And up until now, 15's been kind of like questioning a few things. But unlike a lot of people in the series who sometimes dismiss some things that happen as tricks or magic or this, that, or the other, he immediately realizes, okay, I'm about to die. Self-preservation, self-preservation. He just bows to Gohan and says, so would you mind kindly coming with us, sir? And then Gohan yells, lead the way and make it fast. And then you're in big trouble if anything happens to Pan. And 15 just gets up and salutes saying, roger that. And Piccolo looks to the camera and says, here we go. Oh man, that's so messed up. And then we cut to that fabulous shot in the rain as we see at the Red Ribbon base Pan, and then we zoom out to Carmine, Magenta, and Hedo, and then zoom out again to Gammas 1 and 2, and just, man, we really don't get a lot of Dragon Ball stuff in the rain, I'm realizing. I would love to see a lot more of that. Carmine then says they should arrive shortly, and then we see the ship entering into the airspace. Gohan on board. Pan realizes and sees it and cries out. Gohan sees Pan saying, there she is, and just blasts through the windshield, much to the shock of 15, and then he hits the ground with that thud that sends all the soldiers flying up. You see that awesome cinematographic, awesome bit of cinematography, I say words right, where you see the raindrops falling slowly before the soldiers hit the ground. So cool. Pan runs further up to the balcony saying he came, as the soldier tells her, slow down, you. But Pan dismisses it saying, Daddy's here. Yeah. Gohan cries out for Pan. And as Gamma 2 floats in the air, Gamma 1 approaches Gohan saying, you showed up, son Gohan. You'll be facing me now. But before one can continue, Gohan rushes past him to Pan, much to number 1's shock. He then brushes past Hedo, and Hedo calls out, quick, number 2! And number 2 immediately blocks off Gohan's path, and then kicks him down to the ground, causing him to bounce off the ground, but Gohan gets into a recovery stance. Pan cries out for her daddy, while Gohan dismisses his cape saying, cheap shot. Gamma 1 calls over to 2 saying, it's not your turn, number 2. Son Gohan is mine. While number 2 says, sheesh, if you say so, number 1. 1 says, he caught me off guard, that's all. While Gohan questions, who are you people? Magenta then speaks up saying, heh, if you want to save your precious girl, you gotta beat this fella here. 1 then rushes in with lightning fast speed, and then goes for an elbow on Gohan, who manages to block. But as Gohan blocks several of Gamma 1's attacks, Gohan then goes in for a kick that knocks 1 back. I love this scene where 1 hits the ground with his eyes just weirdly open, and then he just rises up. It's so wild. And then he uses the momentum to headbutt Gohan back. And as Gohan is sent flying, Gamma 1 just grapples him and forces him to the ground. Then number 1 leaps up and goes in with a flying meteor kick to Gohan. Gohan manages to catch it, but it still kind of hits him and he struggles. I love the way you see the veins and his muscles bulging as a crater forms, and then they just knock into the ground. It's good stuff, and all the soldiers go running, screaming for their lives, even the one who was guarding Pan. But Carmine and Magenta just chuckle to themselves. Piccolo then appears next to Pan saying, see, he came for you. But Pan questions, yeah, but the other guy's strong. Can Daddy win? When even your own daughter doesn't believe in you. And Piccolo says, not a chance. Pan questions this, going on? And Piccolo explains, We've got to hope that Gohan regains his battle instinct. He needs to wake up and get his head in the game. Gotta get your head in the game. Meanwhile, in the hole that was formed, we see inside the catacombs below, which, man, the design of this place. Again, great cinematography as you see inside the hole with the rain pouring in on top of Gamma 1, who's on this pile of rubble. As Gohan moves the rubble off of him, he questions, "What are you?" 1 says, "A superhero." Gohan adjusts his glasses, going, "Excuse me?" But then Gamma 1 goes in on the attack, hitting Gohan in the stomach and then kicking him into a pillar that he bounces off of. And as Gohan goes to recover, he says, "Not a robot. Let me guess. An android, then." Yes, unlike 17 and 18 actual androids. And 1 says, "You're awfully savvy." And Gohan says, "Yeah, that adds up," as they kind of do the circling thing, moving behind the pillars. Gohan questions, "But why resort to such dirty tactic?" 1 then appears right behind Gohan. I love stuff like that. But it also shows how just off his game Gohan is. With the Gamma 1 saying, "The kidnapping was not my idea. I'm only following orders in my quest for justice." Gohan strikes a battle stance saying, "Orders? This is justice?" And Gamma 1 readies himself saying, "Yes, we seek to eliminate your wicked cabal." And as he rushes in, Gohan says, "Wait, what?" Not understanding. Of course he wouldn't. And as Gohan goes to strike, number 1 just circles around him and then just hits him from behind. You then cut to the outside where Magenta, Carmine, and Hedo hear all the strikes happening down below. Magenta says, "Anyone want to fill me in? Are we winning or what?" Suddenly there's a blinding light in the hole. He probably went Super Saiyan. And Hedo questions this as Magenta says, "What now?" Gohan then comes flying out of the hole, and as he hits the floor, you see he's Super Saiyan, Super Saiyajin. Magenta says, "You gotta be kidding me." Well, Hedo says, "I've witnessed this transformation before. They must be aliens after all." It's yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what's weirder. The correct assumption that, weird, a blonde-haired form, they must be aliens. Is that more perplexing than just being like, "Oh, it's just blonde hair dye. It's just to show off." Gamma 1 then comes bursting out of the hole saying, "This power of yours is no surprise." Gohan does the epic discarding of the glasses, but you better hope that's not your only pair, man. I do not care for going to the eye doctor for a new one. And if you haven't been there in a couple of years, they're gonna want you to just go through an eye exam and all that good stuff. Gotta take time out of your day. Gohan then goes in with the Kamehame. Gamma 1 is surprised, but then readies his blaster. And oof, nice shot of Gohan firing off the Kamehameha. But number 1 just skillfully and stylishly dodges around it and then fires off his blaster. I love that they use blasters. That feels so much more natural to an artificial being than actual ki blasts out of the hands. But as Gohan just barely manages to notice the blast coming his way, he just deflects it with the axe hand. And then we cut to 15, who crashed his ship, and he's getting out of the wreckage saying, "Ugh, that stings. That guy sure is a real pain." Only for him to notice the blast coming his way, and he just books it as this ship is destroyed. Gamma 1 holsters his gun saying, "My mistake." But he notices too late as Gohan comes in with a kick to his face. And then they're just clashing in the air. So good. While Pan says, "Nice, Daddy. Get him. Get him, Daddy. Get him. Get him." But Piccolo tells her, "Damn it, not ideal." Pan questions, "Huh?" But Piccolo explains, "It was just like this when I faced the other one. As these guys fight, they methodically learn their opponent's moves and capabilities." Okay, see, that's a good way of powering them up, is that they're learning, they're adapting, they're growing to the situation. If you don't defeat them fast, they will overtake you in a heartbeat. And sure enough, as Gamma 1 blocks one of Gohan's strikes, he says, "That's enough, I've got the gist." And then he starts dodging Gohan's strikes, much to Gohan's confusion. And as Gamma 1 does the dust shoulders off move, he says, "Is that the full extent of your power?" Gohan questions, "Come again?" And number 1 says, "If so, you stand no hope of winning." But Gohan, not listening to this, rushes in, and none of his strikes connect. Not his left hook, his right hook, his flying kick. No, Gamma 1 then just goes and grabs Gohan by the neck and slams him into the ground. Carmine calls out, "Yeah!" While Hedo says, "Yes, exquisite! That's my Gamma for you." And as Gamma 1 drags Gohan across the ground, he then launches Gohan into the air, then goes flying into the air himself to just kick Gohan back to the earth. And Piccolo goes, ugh, as Pan cries out for her dad. Piccolo tells her, "Listen, Pan, I need you to shout out like you're in pain." Oof, there's something kind of messed up about that. And as Gohan's recovering, saying, "Ugh, come on," he hears Pan cry out, "Ouch!" And as he turns, he sees Pan being assaulted. God. It's the fact that in the moment, with the adrenaline running, Gohan wouldn't notice anything else but just hearing that Pan is in pain, not realizing that the person is literally just holding her up. As Pan is hamming it up, saying, "Eek, it hurts." And as Gohan cries out for Pan, Gamma 2 chimes in saying, "Yo, knock that off. What's the big idea? Hands off the kid." Which takes Pan and Piccolo off guard. And they both go, "Huh?" Like, oh, no, these are good people deep down. But Gohan, he just powers up, and I love the energy firing into the sky, causing the clouds to dissipate as the sun shines on the ultimate Gohan. Yeah, taking Gamma 1 off guard. Good stuff, good stuff. But ultimately, it's just seeing things like this is really fun and really cool, because I get to appreciate these scenes a little bit more instead of just seeing it go by real quick. Because with animation, you appreciate the fluidity of the scenes and the motions and the movements and stuff like this. In manga, you appreciate the panels and the posing. It's all about the still shots and all that. And I really hope a lot of the cinematography and the moments, like in the rain, I love the in the rain stuff. And when they were in the catacombs and stuff like that, I hope that's brought over to the next story arc. And I'm still wondering when the anime is going to be coming back. Because, let's face it, the anime only really had 3 story arcs of its own. The Universe 6 face-off, Goku Black, and then the Universal Survival. Everything else was just the adaptation. And with the Super manga, it's had 2 major story arcs of its own now, Moro and Granola. So I have to assume that maybe the anime will come back once we get into what follows this, which should be stuff for the end of Z, because, Pan's here, Trunks and Goten have already started to grow up a little bit, so I have to assume maybe we'll stick with this time period at least for, I want to say, a few story arcs, just because we've changed up some characters' designs a little bit already. But I'm hoping that we'll at least have, I don't know, a couple more manga story arcs before we change things up again. Because Goten and Trunks end up with, completely different looks by then. Well, not exactly. No, that's about right. But we're about a year removed, I think, right? Yeah, I think everything mostly goes down in the next year. So at the very least, we could have maybe 1, maybe 2 story arcs. And then we should be at where the end of Dragon Ball Z was. And I'd love to see some things go on there. But we're almost there. Almost at the point where it's just hey, anything could happen now. Because a lot of people have talked about the fact that it's a little underwhelming because they're going to make it out okay. But, I don't know, I still find it a bit thrilling to see our heroes face down major threat. And who knows, maybe we'll get a story arc that mainly centers around Pan, at least for a hot minute. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I do admit I would prefer if we got to see more of what Goten and Trunks were doing, even having them bust up another lab for Dr. Hedo, or taking on soldiers or other androids Hedo created who aren't as strong as the Gammas but are getting there. I was really looking forward to some major changes or other sides to the story kind of situation. But aside from that moment in the street, it's all about the same. But I don't hate it. I just like more reason to not have to watch the movie again. Not that I don't like the movie, it's just if you're gonna adapt something, at least mix it up a little bit. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.